I'm in Tshwane, Region 7 sewer projects have been halted for 2 years now in Ward 104. There's an ongoing protest for water supply. Some parts have not been supplied since October last year. Tsepo in Blekari says no water for over 24 hours with constant electricity cuts. And the question, of course, is in a general election year, could this be the way of national politics? Lance Joel is the South African Local Government Association Chief Operating Officer and joins us now on the line. I really appreciate your time, Lance. We've seen some problems at local government, haven't we?
Well, good morning, Bongani, and also to the listeners. Indeed, we have had our fair share of challenges at the local government level. And the ever-presence of coalition governments is not making it easier. And
Lance, are you there? Not sure what happened there. I'm putting him on hold. Let's try and make sure we've got him. Is he fine? Is he back on the line? Clive is nodding. All right, I think we've got Lance Joel. I think we got cut off there. Lance, are you there?
Bongani, I'm here. Sincere apologies for that.
Well, I mean, look, we're talking coalitions. They're often characterized by greed, power grabs. They're unstable. Things could change at any moment. And quite frankly, a lack of transparency in terms of the arrangements that political parties agree on, or at least come into. We don't quite know the T's and C's.
Well, certainly, Bongani, but let's take a step back. We currently have about 82 coalition-governed municipalities, of which 50 of those 82 are in fact stable coalitions, but it is the 32 which largely includes the metropolitan municipalities and bigger cities that are politically unstable, and there are many reasons why they are unstable, but one of the issues that you are raising correctly so is the fact that the agreements that are agreed to are not agreed to in a transparent way, but also we do not know what the terms and conditions are. And in many other democracies that similarly have coalition governments, there are processes where the actual process of concluding coalition agreements are transparent, they are open to the public, but more importantly, the agreements reached are publicized so that the electorate can have a look and see at what is being agreed to and how they can hold those respective political parties accountable. That is quite different in our context. Coalition agreements are marred with secrecy, and we know it is more about sharing the spoils than delivering on the promises made in the political manifestos.
So the cynic might say, well, I mean, do we need to see the T's and C's in those agreements? We must just look at the record of whoever is put in charge and, vote accordingly the next time. I mean, if you look at a metro like the city of Johannesburg and a mayor like Kabelo Gwamanda, many would say that those arrangements, in fact, start suiting the bigger parties who push their smaller party partners as the face of the administration, when in fact they are pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Well, that could be the case. Well, firstly, when you look at coalition arrangements, many of the smaller parties that form part of the coalition are unknowns, so they don't have a track record. But it is indeed correctly said that the bigger parties who do form the leading part of the coalition, their track record are known, and you are able to track what they have done in the past. But it is important that the electorate should know what is going to be delivered on, because you will recall that all political parties go to the polls having made promises through the manifesto, and people like what is in those manifestos, what is being promised to them. So people would want to get the comfort that indeed what they have voted for is what they are going to get. But in the absence thereof, it is quite difficult to hold your political party accountable. And the next time you see them would be before the next elections.
Yeah.
And they don't steal their presence in between the elections. So that's the importance of written agreement to hold them accountable for what they are going to do.
There is a thought that we need perhaps a complete overhaul of local government. Professionalize the thing. Don't make it politics or political. Because, for example, we now have, and again, I'm going to point you to the city of Johannesburg. We've got a mayor who doesn't even have a matric. How do you begin to run the complexities of a metro, the biggest in the country, if that's your background?
Well, Bongani, you are correct. At the core of the successes at the local government level and the ability to sustain services is a strong administration. Even in times where there is political uncertainty, such as the transition from one coalition government to the next, you need a strong administration that is able to get on with the job, are able to ensure that services are on a basis. Because in any way, services are delivered by the administration, but through political direction. So a strong administration is critical. People that are appropriately skilled, qualified and experienced to do direct and deliver services. And we have seen in other democracies where there are coalition governments, even when it takes 6 months, as in the German example, even if it takes 6 months to get a coalition government in place, services continue. So there is no vacuum from a service delivery point of view. Services are sustained over a defined period. And that's a critical part of having a strong administration, is having certainty around the delivery of services.
But of course, the politicians aren't going to vote themselves out of access to power and patronage.
Of course not, Bongani. We must remember that within democracies, the people determine who leads them. And unfortunately, in coalition governments, the outcome is not to one single party, it's to a number of parties. And it requires those parties to make compromises. Yes, it's a political game. And quite often politics do emerge victorious in the end. But yes, we must accept that it's a political space and accept the political outcome. But what we must try and do is to create a bit more predictability by having defined processes, and that is absent as we speak, because coalition governments are not regulated, and people make up the rules as they go along, and that is something that needs urgent address.
So, what's the role of SALGA in all of this?
Well, Bongani, we have been, since before the 2021 elections, we have been at the forefront arguing for a regulated framework for coalition, so that at least the playing field is leveled, firstly, but secondly, we know what the rules are to the game. So we had come up with a coalition framework to guide the establishment of coalitions, but also to ensure that there's sustainability of those coalitions. It is a voluntary framework, so it does require political parties to adopt the framework. We have had some successes. We have largely seen other political parties choosing to do what they feel is best. So our role is trying to bring more certainty, be a bit more predictable, so that we limit the chaos that will flow from an arrangement that is unregulated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Lance, just quick question, final question. Fantasize with me. What would a professionalized local government look like?
Well, a professional local government would look like where individuals that are employed in a municipality are apolitical. They do not take instructions from political parties. They take instructions based on the delegations that are existing within the municipality itself. They do not link the level of work with who is in power on any given day. They would not compromise the delivery of services. That is a professional service. People that come to work to execute the responsibilities as public servants and responding to the constitutional mandate of a better life for all of the people. That is a professional administration.
You may call me a dreamer, but I'm not the only one, said John Lennon. Lance Joel, appreciate your time. The South African Local Government Association Chief Operating Officer.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.